Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I'm back to post another quick video here. This is actually going to be my second video response to John, his 1,800 subscribers contest. So the other day I did a video and I kind of just, the first things that came off the top of my head I pulled out and showed, which basically revolved around the two questions of, sharing an album that was kind of a comeback album for an artist, maybe that was formerly big, and then an album that kind of brought them back to the forefront, and then showing just some great covers, artists that have covered other songs and that type of thing. So I picked the ones that just came right to mind that day, and it took me like every bit of 5 minutes to pull them out. And then these were some that a few that should have been as obvious, but maybe I just didn't think about them that day. And then I also kind of spent a little bit of time digging through my stacks and just thinking about it, and found some that, again, just didn't quite come to mind the other day. So here's kind of the video 2 to John's 800 subs contest. So a little bit of a mixture of everything here. We'll start off with Invoke. Try to get the glare out of there. This is the best of. They did a very good cover of Giving Him Something He Can Feel, which of course was a song that Aretha Franklin did. I believe Curtis Mayfield actually, I think, wrote it. Don't quote me on that, but I think he did. And again, you start putting together that string of names, Mayfield, Aretha Franklin, on the Invoke. I mean, you're going to get some pretty good R&B with anything traveling down that line. But that's definitely a song that I think, I'm not going to say definitely it's not better than the Aretha Franklin version, because obviously it's Aretha. But at the same time, it was very, very, very well done by them. And I would think that if Mrs. Franklin heard that song, she would definitely give them props for doing it justice. So that's one. Next, we'll move along to a classic that I'm sure all of you guys know. I don't have this on vinyl. I need to get another copy because I purged my last one that wasn't in perfect condition. But I do have the CD, so Blue Cheer, and of course you have the song Summertime Blues. They took a very classic rock song and turned it into a very heavy classic rock song, and I think that version of Summertime Blues is simply fantastic. That was very kind of special and unique of what they did at that time with that particular song. So I've always considered this kind of a very classic album in that push from rock and roll to hard rock to metal. I mean, I think that definitely holds its place in there. Another one here, off of this 2 CD set, which is, ladies and gentlemen, George Michael, the best of. Nice 2 CD set. And it's the song I Can't Make You Love Me or I guess I Can't Make You Love Me is the actual title of the song. But he does a really, really fantastic version on this album. I think Bonnie Raitt, originally did the original recording of that, I believe. But I know it's been covered by a bunch of people because it's a great song. I have a couple of smooth jazz CDs that have some different vocalists covering it, but I definitely like the George Michael version. Again, he does the song a lot of justice, and quite frankly, I like it better than the Bonnie Raitt version. So I definitely give that a plus in terms of being a very, very great cover. And this is a really good CD too for anyone that is a George Michael fan, maybe kind of a George Michael fan, but not enough to want to go out and buy tons and tons of his stuff. This is a perfect piece to have. It's a 2 CD set. One CD is labeled From the Heart, and then the other CD is labeled For the Feet. So it really is kind of one CD of all of his more slower ballad, lovey-dovey, if you will, type stuff. And then the second CD really is more of his dance and, all of that stuff. So it's a really good compilation of his career in a nice 2 CD set. So just to throw that out there in case you're not familiar with that. And since I spoke about her a minute ago, let's go ahead and jump to another great cover. And actually, Aretha Franklin has a few of them that you can choose from, but the one I'm going to use in this video is her cover of Otis Redding's Respect. I mean, obviously, this is the second time I'm using an Otis Redding cover, where I think in the last video I talked about That's How Strong My Love Is, a Taj Mahal cover of that, which I thought was better than the Otis Redding version. And I would have to say the Respect for Aretha Franklin is better than the Otis version as well. Both of those kind of total coincidences, I think, because Otis is the man without question, and but Aretha is Aretha too. So she took that song and tore it up. But she did Spanish Harlem and a bunch of other stuff too. So she has a lot of great things that it's a queen of soul. I mean, anything she kind of sings is going to be fantastic. See, moving on to the next one here. Here's an artist that I think is really fabulous. Actually, I've always loved this guy. Simply Red. I actually remember hearing this a lot when I was a kid, and it just, again, even though it was more kind of R&B, I guess more emotion-felt music, and at least the stuff I'd heard at that point in time, it still, even as a kid, it just connected with me so much. And the song. Oh wait, what am I thinking about? I'm actually confused here. So I'm thinking about the song "If You Don't Know Me By Now." That's what it is. I'm sorry, little brain fart there. But he did a cover on this album of "If You Don't Know Me By Now," which originally was a song that Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes did. Kind of an old school R&B group. And again, he tore it up. I mean, you would never think a redhead, freckled dude like this could sing with the soul that he has, but I mean, Simply Red, that's definitely a fantastic cover that he did of that song. Did it a lot of justice. And there was another great song that he had too, just talking about him as an artist, and probably my favorite song by him, which is Holding Back the Years. Very, very powerful, emotional type ballad. And it's really amazing when you listen to that song and hear the power and emotion and kind of the maturity that's inside of the song, to realize that he was only 17 years old when he wrote it. And I mean, it's I think probably his best song throughout his entire catalog. But so definitely another great cover there with Simply Red, If You Don't Know Me By Now. Good cover of Melvin and the Blue Notes. So moving right along, this is one I pulled out of my Purge stack. One of the ones I'm holding on to until I can get a better cover, because it has a punch hole there, so I want to replace that. So if anyone does happen to have a cover of this, let me know, or a nice cover, if you will. Brittany Fox. And on this album, they did a cover of Nazareth, A Hair of the Dog. And I think, again, they did the song a lot of good justice. Which is not really that surprising, because, I mean, really, Nazareth wrote that long before they covered it, but at the same time, it really is kind of a hair band rock type of song. So I think it fit in, the song itself fit in very well with what was going on with the 80s, and glam stuff at the time. But they did a really good cover of that, so I definitely want to kind of pull that out of the Purge stack and share that. Another one here. Next we'll go to the Urban Cowboy soundtrack. And the song that I'm pulling off of here is a great cover. Is oh gosh, going totally brain dead here now. I got Lee in my head. It's not Lee. Gilly. I'm sorry, Mickey Gilly. He did a really, really great cover of Stand By Me, which of course most people tend to know that song from the Benny King version, which is a fantastic version. I'm not going to say this is better than that by any means, but again, it's one of those, he certainly did the song justice with the way that he did it. And it's kind of cool too to see a song going from that R&B, flavor that it had with Benny King, and then being turned completely into a country song, and the song really holding up well through both. I mean, I think that says a lot about just a great song. So that's one I would definitely put in there as well. Next, we are going to go with Miles Davis. Alright, this is You're Under Arrest. Probably an album that most people maybe aren't as familiar with Miles Davis. Of course, some of his later work, as you can kind of clearly see. But he did a really good cover of Michael Jackson's Human Nature on this this album. Of course, it was all instrumental and everything, but again, I remember when I first started buying jazz albums and I wasn't as familiar with Miles Davis, this is one of the first ones that I pulled out of the stack and just kind of gave a listen to and heard that cover and just really, really, really liked it. So that's one that, again, kind of slipped the mind, but the more I thought about it, popped up. And let's see, the last two, I kind of kept these two for last because, again, I think these are absolutely amazing covers. And on top of that, they are covers of songs that were mega, mega huge, which just makes them that much more impressive that they were able to cover them and take them to another level. So number one, we're going to go with, of course, Proud Mary by Ike and Tina Turner. I mean, of course, Proud Mary, you know, excuse me, I'm going so brain dead with just trying to, I get ready to say a name of a band or something, and all these other bands start jumping in my head. Creedence Clearwater, and I mean, again, everybody knows that, and again, perfect song that they took and just took it to another level, and they certainly, as I keep saying with a lot of these, that they did the song justice without question. So that was one that has to be mentioned. And last but not least, and a few people may disagree, or actually a lot of people might disagree with me on this one, but I honestly feel that this cover was better than the original, and the original was a major anthem, much less just a hit, but it is the cover of Hey Jude by Wilson Pickett. I think the version and the way that he covered this, the Beatles version just doesn't hold up to it. Now, of course, granted, Wilson Pickett to me is, you know, vocally probably the #1 artist of all time in my mind. And I've said this before in other videos, you know, Wilson Pickett, Steve Perry, and Sam Cooke are probably my 3 favorite vocalists of all time, just when it comes to what they could do, what they could belt out. No one can really match them. And so, you know, Hey Jude, the cover that he does here, again, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And it's really interesting too, because the first part of the song is, I mean, he's doing his Wilson Pickett thing and it sounds good and it's, you know, whatever else. But when it gets to the part where they go into the long chorus of the, you know, the na na, Hey Jude and all of that, when that kicks in on this song and Wilson he just goes Wilson. I mean, that's like the only way I can put it. I mean, he just starts belting out notes and grit that is just, I can't even explain it. I mean, it's just the amount of soul and passion and power that comes out of his voice when he goes into that section of the song is just damn near overwhelming to me. And so that's why I have to kind of give him the nod on the cover of this here. So anyway, there you go, VC. Again, those were just a few that popped up as I kind of went back and thought about ones that I missed from the previous video. And of course, John, once again, congratulations on the 1,800 subs. As always, let me know what you think, and we will talk to you guys soon. All right, take care, VC.